Welcome, welcome.
Welcome to a live read of Shelob's Lair. We're going to the little Cretan spider. What's up, everyone? What's going on? Ooh, I'm pumped for this chapter. Oh, Tolkien Rants, what's up? Just subscribe to your channel. I'll give you a little shout out. Everyone go subscribe because this is a freaking great channel. Only 4 videos, but gosh, are they good videos. I've only seen one of them, actually, because I don't want spoilers for the other stuff. I love that you just woke up for this stream. That makes me so happy. Ooh, new Faramir video today. Revenant, thank you for the gifted membership. Hey, Shattermelon too. I love that you got that. Shattermelon's been a mainstay. Welcome to membership for a month. Love that. Ooh, new Faramir video today. Yeah, guys, quick plug to Tolkien Rant's channel. Everyone should go subscribe to that because the effort that she puts into these videos is actually pretty astounding. They are beautifully designed. Like they're handwritten quotes, like illustrations of these characters. It's a phenomenal video, and it's like not only just like well designed. It's incredible thoughts. It's like I wish I could be that clear in half of my videos. Like very, very clear, very, very good thoughts. So everyone go sub because it's a phenomenal channel. Cecilia, you're breaking my heart. Everyone's up. Okay, here's a question that we'll start off with for before we do the live read. I was asking this in the members video, the members live stream that we just did. And here's what we're going to talk about. If you could have dinner with one character from the Lord of the Rings, all of the legendarium, who would you have dinner with? And then different question, but maybe it could be similar. Who would you say is your favorite, or not favorite? Who would you say is the coolest character in all Lord of the Rings? Like, who is like the Bill Weasley of... Excuse me. Who's the Bill Weasley of Lord of the Rings? Who's the coolest character? Ooh, enjoy... Wait, why did... Hold on 1 second. My chat's not moving anywhere. There we go. It's going to be a creepy chapter. Ooh, we got a Spaniard. Welcome. Who cares about family get-togethers when we are doing this? You can only listen for about a half an hour. Bummer. It's okay though. Enjoy the Mistborn recording, Nemo. Everyone, another channel to go record or go subscribe to. If you guys know Nemo's channel called Myth Mavens, they're going through Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn for the first time. It's a really enjoyable conversations they're having. They're going pretty in depth with it. They know world building a lot more than like I do. I know more like, literary weird things. They're going into more of the world building. Have dinner with Gandalf. Coolest character is Turin, Maedhros, son of Fëanor. I don't know who these characters are. I know who Gandalf is. Faramir, but all the legendarium is a lot. Glorfindel is pretty cool. I don't know too much about Glorfindel. Is Glorfindel in more? Ulmo is the coolest. Glorfindel is the coolest. Dinner with the Elder King. Dinner with Gandalf. I don't know if I would want to have dinner with Gandalf. Luthien? Ooh, okay. Someone was just mentioning that. The coolest character is Luthien, but you'd want to have dinner with Faramir. Someone literally just said that. Are you the same person? Coolest is Fingolfin and Fingon. I wish we named people like we name people in Lord of the Rings. Like, your name is kind of similar to your dad's, but not exactly. Like Fingolfin, son of Fingon. It just sounds cool. Glorfindel thinks he's the Rizzler. He's in more. Okay, good. Dinner with Faramir. I would probably want to have dinner with Faramir too. Dinner with Faramir sounds great. Arrow Iluvatar. Glorfindel is the coolest. So you'd have dinner with God. Isn't Arrow Iluvatar the god? Oh, that's you on your other account? I didn't even know that. That's sweet. That's so cool. Well, welcome. Dinner with Pippin. Very entertaining. That's the surnames are for. I want to talk with Treebeard for days. Dinner with Melkor, Finrod, Felagund. Melkor. No, wait. I don't know who Melkor is. It could be fun to have dinner with like an evil character. Would anybody pick Shelob? Hama is still one of my favorite characters of all time. Hama is one of the goats. I love Hama so much. Yes, everyone, seriously, go check out Nemo and Myth Mavens. Phenomenal discussions that they're having over there. Like, I mean, you guys are all book nerds. I'm sure a lot of you have read some Brandon Sanderson. You are the dinner for Shelob. That is actually hilarious. I love that. You don't bring dinner. You are the dinner. That would hit so hard in like a coffee mug or a t-shirt. You want to have dinner with Shelob? Shelob? You are the dinner. You don't bring dinner. You are the dinner. That'd be great. Anyone but Denethor. Really? I've heard Denethor is kind of lovely in the books. Well, I actually don't know really what I've heard in the books. I've heard he's just different. That's probably really all I've heard. So, Angolia seems to like her vegetables. Magnuson, Vigdidotir. I don't know who that is. Dinner. Don't have dinner with Turin. Interesting. Okay. That's oddly odd. Hobbit's supper and bag in with Bilbo. Everyone is afraid of Turin. What did Turin do to you guys? What did Turin ever do to any of you? Turin's sisters. Don't have dinner with Turin's sisters. Very curious who the heck this dude is now and what would happen. Denethor is more rational in the books. Marvel Cat, what's up? Marvel Cat, we're asking, well, who do you want to have dinner with out of anyone in the Lord of the Rings Legendarium? Or not Lord of the Rings, anyone in the Legendarium. Wait till I get to know Denethor. Interesting. Everyone doesn't want to go and have dinner with Turin. Turin is a tour de force of tragedy. Turin just needs a hug. That's what I'm kind of sensing that too. Turin just needs he needs a good buddy. He needs a good hug. That's so funny. Turin and Ninor. Never talk to them. That's another good question. Besides Turin, who would you never want to have dinner with? Don't hug Turin. He has a few good buddies. Beleg tried to hug Turin. You get this is language that I do not understand. I love the level of nerddom here. Ooh, yeah, Treebeard's dinner would just be water. That would be kind of depressing. Even though the water kind of fills you up and it's good, it's still just water. Which, I want some more substance than that. I like that the hobbits were, they needed the Lembas when they had that water because they just felt like they needed some kind of substance. Yeah, Cecilia, call him out. No spoilers for Children of Húrin. You guys are reading that right now. I love that. I'm excited for you guys. I'm jealous because I want to be reading that because I think that's the one I'm most excited about. Actually, I take that back. I'm excited about all of it. I think the Silmarillion I'm most excited about. But the Children of Húrin is in the Silmarillion, right? It's like one chapter in the Silmarillion. So we'll get there when we get there. We'll get there when we get there. Beleg is one of your favorite characters. And Glowrung is probably your favorite villain. Ooh, a good list of villains. Children of Húrin is the best. Húrin. Dinner with Anatar, Lord of Gifts. I would want to have dinner with Galadriel because she's smoking hot and she is an elf goddess and she would probably give me a gift after. Maybe 3 hairs from her golden head. If I didn't intend to use them evilly, apparently. In Iceland, you are John, son of Edward. Sarah, daughter of Elizabeth. That's so cool. We should all move to Iceland and do that. I think that's so cool. I think that just sounds cooler. Like, I am Jonathan, son of John. My full name's Jonathan, too, by the way. I don't know if any of you knew that. I'm Jon, not a John. Cooler. Way cooler. Way cooler than just John. Although 90% of people that I know call me just John. Which is fine. You can just call me John. Sushi with Gollum. I don't like sushi all that much. I'm not a big sushi fan. Not a big sushi guy. Galadriel in the Third Age is very mellow. I'm actually okay. I talk about things that I'm excited about. One time I was watching a Stephen Colbert thing. I forgot where this was. If this was on, I forgot where this was. I think someone asked him who his favorite character was. And I think he was talking for a long time about some different characters, but I think I remember him mentioning Galadriel and how he essentially said Galadriel is like, maybe it was him. It might have been different. I think he said Galadriel is like the main character of essentially the entire thing. Not that there is like a main character. I think. Okay, so that should be the real question. She's hardly in it, really? Read and find out. Are you guys leading me down like rabbit trails here? Okay, this is the real question. With all the Hobbit meals, who would you have breakfast with? Then who would you have second breakfast with? They all have to be different answers. Who would you have second breakfast with? Who would you have elevensies with? Who would you have afternoon tea with? Who would you have lunch with? Who would you have dinner with? Who would you have supper with? What are all the Hobbit meals? Creation of Lembas and Children of Húrin. I was just talking about that on the members chat. I kind of want to make a video of me making Lembas bread. That actually sounds great. Yeah, second breakfast is the only real answer is Pippin. Cecilia, that was actually a great answer. Pippin breakfast, not Bilbo. The one thing that I remember, I remember a few things in The Hobbit, but one of the things I remember most is the meal that they had with all the dwarves, and that always seemed lovely. Farmer Maggot would be actually a great answer. Farmer Maggot's so cool. This dude garners the respect of Tom Bombadil. Like, are we kidding? Are you kidding me with that? That is actually so cool. Tea with Bilbo. Hold on. I'm trying to think now. Where in the book does it say that hobbits have all those meals? Because the second breakfast section isn't mentioned in the book. Is it mentioned in Concerning Hobbits? Where is that mentioned? Or did they just come up with that? J.R. Tolkien says 6 meals a day. I love that. That is great. Might be in The Hobbit. Interesting. Second breakfast is in The Hobbit. I love that. Okay. I'm pretty pumped to read The Hobbit. because I know it's more like a children's story, and I love a good children's story. They're the best. It's in the first chapter somewhere, of The Hobbit or of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for The Hobbit. Because I remember a few things here and there. Like, I know the general journey. I know they go through, like, Mirkwood, and they see some spiders. And I remember one section where Bilbo he climbs a tree and, like, feels the wind on his face. And, like, he feels normal for a second. And I think that's when they're captured. They're captured by the elves. I know, like, the movie sections, too. But I think I watched those movies twice, and then I wanted nothing to do with them. I'm not a big Hobbit movie fan. Although I will say, they're not that bad. Like, if I go and rewatch them now, there's some things that I don't like in them, but they're pretty cool movies still. That might have been a really controversial thing to say. I don't know. Maybe they're not as... I should go back and rewatch them. One thing okay, so I'll say this. I'm going to probably throw my family, my mom, under the bus a little bit. Because my mom is an optimist at this stuff. She just loves she has listened to some of Lord of the Rings and some of The Hobbit. And I'm telling her that she needs to do it more because, like, Andy Serkis and all that kind of stuff. But she has that overwhelming positivity. They watch it once a year, and they watch it in the beginning of the year. And she's like, even though she's not a big Tolkien nerd, like I am becoming, she really loves even like the Rings of Power. She's like, they're just fun. She's like, I don't get into all the like nitty gritty details of things. I don't care for like changes that were made or any of that kind of stuff. She's like, I just think they're fun and I really enjoy them. And she does the same thing with The Hobbit. She's like, we watch them because she's like, they're just fun movies. Like they're, maybe different from the book, but she's like, I just enjoy watching them. And I'm like, you know what? I like that, Mom. I'm never going to take your joy away with that. You can't get into that mindset. Yeah, Rings of Power is brutal. I struggled with Rings of Power. There were some really good things, some things I couldn't stand about it. And I don't even know the lore of it, too. So I'm sure if you know the lore of it, it probably drives you even crazier. It just felt so fake. The sea is always right. Oh, that's cute. That's their cozy listening. I love that. Also, you got some other languages being spoke. Don't acknowledge the Hobbit movies. There's a tempest in me. BOFA. Hold on. BOFA. 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 What does that mean? BOFA. I'm trying to figure it out in my head. All right, we're going to start reading in about 5 minutes. We've done enough of just chit chat. Battle of the Five Armies. Okay, thank you. Battle of the Five Armies. Thank you. You guys really hate that line. There's a tempest in me. Okay. I gotta say this. With all the slow motion drives me crazy. And the different frame rate that they shot it in drives me crazy too. It's the small things. It's the small things in life. Rings of Power isn't just bad, it's disrespectful. Okay. Before we start reading, I just want to talk about I don't remember really any of the Rings of Power. I watched it once and kind of just left on my brain. I remember a few small things here and there, but one thing that I really remember that I thought was really well done, it's in the first episode. And you guys need to correct me if I'm being super disrespectful to like Tolkien nerds, because this might not be how it is at all. But when they were on the ship, when the elves and Galadriel were on the ship and they were heading to the Undying Lands, and there was like these songs coming, and then all of a sudden these clouds opened, and then these birds came and welcomed them, and they started singing in line with like the songs that were coming from that scene for some reason really hit home for me. And the music that scene had was exquisite. I kind of loved it. So she's wearing armor on a ship. Yeah, yeah, but it's like ceremonial, right? No, maybe not. I don't know why, but I really loved that moment. I thought it was actually kind of a great moment. The Wandering Song is the best thing from the series. Okay, that makes me happy. Is that the Wandering Song? That has to be the Wandering Song, no? Everyone, you have to name one good thing from the Rings of Power series. That was a fine scene. Yeah, before she had decided to swim 2,000 miles home. That was probably pretty tough. There was a shroud of mist that surrounded the shores of Valinor. Haven't watched it. Okay, don't ruin any of your mental imagination. The intro animation was really cool. I will say that. They got the names of the characters right. Celebrimbor? Interesting. I kind of liked him. I thought he was a good actor. Haven't ever watched and intend to. I like the proto-hobbits, but the rest of the show was not good. I actually did not like the proto-hobbits. That was one of my least favorite parts. I was so disinterested in that. Yeah, I hear it is awful from Tolkien lore's perspective. I hear it like has... I mean, they didn't have any of the rights to the Silmarillion, right? So they were awful. But... I feel like all you guys are just holding your tongue. You want to say so much more. Hold on, just drop my bookmark. The best thing was when the slow motion stopped. Okay, I will say maybe one of my least favorite things in all of The Hobbit was when Legolas ran up that wall that was falling down in slow motion. That's when I seethe and get really annoyed. But other than that, I still think they're kind of fun movies. Still some issues with them, but they're interesting. War of the Rohirrim made you angrier. I've heard War of the Rohirrim wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. Ooh, wait, vastly improve it. I love that. Yeah, Durin and Disa honestly were great too. That was the whole section in Moria was one of my favorites. Moria was a really cool city. That is still memorable in my head too. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Yeah, the Battle of the Five Armies scene is rough. There's like some cool elements in that scene, but not a lot of it, no. Never watch War of the Rohirrim. Interesting. You guys really hate the War of the Rohirrim? Okay, that's good to know. Ardor because of the movies and the fan edits. Yeah, I've heard the fan edits clean a lot of things up. That's okay. I will say this too. When there's a bad series, fans step up and they crush things. Like, I'll say this. One of my favorite things that happens in Game of Thrones is how, and I'm very excited to read Game of Thrones too, because I hear it is very different from book to movie as well. Yeah, dude, my mom loves Radagast too. But one thing that I've seen, or one thing that I loved, is when that series finished and it was, reprehensible and everyone hated it. People, like, after the hatred settles down, people start rewriting the scenes and they make it so good. And it's so fun to just, like, I can go on like a day long, tirade or like, YouTube wormhole of like looking up all the rewrites that fans have made for the end of the Game of Thrones, because people do it so well. They become so interesting to me. Like I remember one that got really popular that was like, he rewrote it so that Bran essentially is the Night King, which is kind of cool. He remade it a lot cooler than that, obviously, than just that. So, but we'll get there when we get there. All right, we're going to start reading. Shelob's Lair. Shelob's Lair. You don't like those videos? I kind of love them. I just like seeing creative people remake things actually good. Yeah, the dwarf elf romance wasn't the worst. I'll say that. I didn't hate it. It wasn't like my favorite thing, but it wasn't that bad. They were kind of cute. And what's her name? Evangeline Lilly. She was great in it. I thought she was good. And she had the one. Didn't they make a subtle innuendo about the size of his ween? Wasn't it something like that? Yeah, a little love triangle wasn't great. I think Phillies was the best looking of the dwarves. Yeah, there's so many good writers in this world. Boffer wasn't. Wait, Bomber was the big one, right? Didn't it say here that Bomber wasn't able to get moved? He needed like 4 dwarves to move him or something like that. Where am I hearing of that? Where do I remember that? It meant more Keely. Feely was kind of cute too. Feely and Keely were kind of cute. Or Biffer. They mentioned that at the Council of Elrond. That's right. That was great. That is so funny. All right. Let's redo this. Let's start reading because I want to read. Here we go. Ooh, nice. We got 70 people here chilling and watching me read. Everyone liked the stream too. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to be annoying. Like the stream so that more people actually can watch and get into some of these thingy-majigs. If you got to go, that's a bummer, but we'll see you next time. We'll see you in the next one. All right, here we go. Shelob's Lair. Shelob's Lair, chapter 9. Man, we're coming up to the end. 2 more chapters till the end of this book. I'm excited to retire this book so I don't have to keep holding it together because it's falling apart. All right, Shelob's Lair. It may indeed have been daytime now, as Gollum said, but the hobbits could see little difference, unless, perhaps, the heavy sky above was less utterly black, more like a great roof of smoke, while instead of the darkness of deep night, which lingered still in the cracks and holes, a gray, blurry shadow shrouded the stony world about them. They passed on, Gollum in front and the hobbits now side by side, up the long ravine between the piers and columns of torn and weathered rock, standing like huge unshapen statues on either hand. There was no sound. Some way ahead, a mile or so perhaps, was a great gray wall. A last huge upthrusting mass of mountain stone. Darker it loomed, and steadily it rose as they approached, until it towered up high above them, shutting out the view of all that lay beyond. Deep shadow lay before its feet. Sam sniffed the air. "Oh, that smell," he said. "It's getting stronger and stronger." Presently they were under the shadow, and there in the midst of it they saw the opening of a cave. "This is the way in," said Gollum softly. "This is the entrance to the tunnel." He did not speak its name. Torech Ungol. Torech Ungol, Shelob's Lair. Out of it came a stench. Hold on. Real quick question. 2 quick things. One, we've heard... they've talked about Shelob before. Right? Am I wrong about that? Like we do know Shelob's name. Is this the first time they haven't? So this is the first time only mentioned the name. Because Gollum says she. The narrator has, but they haven't. So this is the narrator coming out. So they still don't know it's Shelob's Lair. Have we before this gotten mention of Shelob? Gollum mentions her? But does Gollum mention it only to himself? Shelob's Lair. Is this the first mention? Huh. Yeah, spooky vibes all around. Faramir talked about the pass, and then someone mentioned that it's literally called the Pass of the Spider, so, they should piece things together. So that's a bit of a bummer that they don't. He mentioned something evil, and then he said lore masters blanch and grow silent, which, can't you just say what's in there? I'm curious if this thing's going to be like truly evil incarnate or something. I don't know. And yeah, they need an exterminator. And I'm also, the second thing I want to talk about is Sam not going to be sent home? Was that just a dramatic choice that they made in the movie? That would be wild. I'm very curious. First mention of her name in the Two Towers in this chapter. Interesting. Okay. Shelob just invites them in for tea. That'd be wild. All right, let's keep reading. Out of it came a stench. Not the sickly odor of decay in the meads of Morgul, but a foul reek. As if filth unnameable were piled and hoarded in the dark within. Is this the only way, Smeagol? Said Frodo. Yes, he answered. Yes, we must go this way now. Do you mean to say you've been through this hole? Said Sam. Phew. But perhaps you don't mind bad smells. Gollum's eyes glinted. He doesn't know what we minds, does he, precious? No, he doesn't. But Smeagol can bear things. Yes, he's been through, just a sentence. Oh, yes, right through. It's the only way. And what makes the smell, I wonder, said Sam. It's like, well, I wouldn't like to say. Some beastly hole of the orcs, I'll warrant, with 100 years of their filth in it. Well, said Frodo, orcs or no, if it's the only way, we must take it. Ugh. This is gross. Drawing a deep breath, they passed inside. In a few steps, they were in utter and impenetrable dark. Not since the lightless passages of Moria had Frodo or Sam known such darkness. And if possible, here, it was deeper and denser. There were airs moving, and echoes, and a sense of space. That's a weird sentence. Hold on. There, there were airs moving, and echoes, and a sense of space. Here, the air was still, stagnant, heavy, and sound fell dead. They walked, as it were, in a black vapor, wrought of veritable darkness itself. As it was, breathed, brought blindness not only to the eyes, but to the mind, so that even the memory of colors and forms and of any light faded out of thought. Night always had been and always would be, and night was all. I am running from this place as fast as possible. This is a terrifying description. The air is there in Moria. Oh, there in Moria. Okay, that makes sense. There. Okay, so he's just comparing Moria in this place. Not since the lightless passages of Moria had Frodo and Sam known such darkness. And if possible, here it was deeper and denser. There were airs moving, and echoes, and a sense of space. Here the air was still, stagnant, heavy, and sound fell dead. They walked as if they were in a black vapor wrought of veritable darkness itself, that, as it was breathed, brought blindness not only to the eyes, but to the mind. Okay, another mention of the blindness. Is this why Frodo is going blind? Because he's getting closer to Shelob's lair? Not really. I don't think that's actually the case, but it brought blindness not only to the eyes, but to the mind, so that even the memory of colors and forms and of any light faded out of thought. Night always had been and always would be, and night was all. But for a while they could still feel, and indeed the senses of their feet and fingers at first seemed sharpened almost painfully. The walls felt, to their surprise, smooth, and the floor, save for a step now and again, was straight and even. Was straight and even, going ever up at the same stiff slope. The tunnel was high and wide, so wide that, though the hobbits walked abreast, only touching the side walls with their outstretched hands, they were separated, cut off alone in the darkness. Oh, this is the opposite of what they need to be doing. This is like a terrifying place. This feels like I don't know, it's a hyperbole. This feels like the worst, darkest place in Middle-earth. Not like physically dark, like this feels like the evilest place in Middle-earth. Because you're isolated and you're alone. Isolated in darkness and evil. Shelob's Lair. Terrifying place. Tolkien's best horror chapter? Yeah, this feels like there's going to be another essay about just the darkness of this place. Yeah, it feels like a physical darkness. That's a great description of it. Gollum had gone in first and seemed to be only a few steps ahead. While they were still able to give heed to such things, they could hear his breath hissing and gasping just in front of them. But after a time, their senses became duller. Both touch and hearing seemed to grow numb. And they kept on, groping, walking, on and on, mainly by the force of the will with which they had entered. Will to go through, and desired to come at last to the high gate beyond. Before they had gone very far, perhaps, but time and distance soon passed out of his reckoning, Sam on the right, feeling the wall, was aware that there was an opening at the side. For a moment he caught a faint breath of some air less heavy, and then they passed it by. I feel like he should take this passage. If the air feels a little less heavy, go down that path. Maybe that's foolish of me. Take that path, Sam. There's more than one passage here, he whispered with an effort. It seemed hard to make his breath give any sound. It's as orc-like a place as ever there could be. I feel like it's more evil than an orc place. You know what I mean? Sam has no memory of this place. This seems worse than an orc place, like an orc hole. After that, first he on the right and then Frodo on the left passed 3 or 4 such openings, some wider, some smaller. But there was, as yet, no doubt of the main way, for it was straight and did not turn, and still went steadily up. But how long was it? How much more of this would they have to endure? Or could they endure? The breathlessness of the air was growing as they climbed, and now they seemed often in the blind dark to sense some resistance thicker than the foul air. As they thrust forward, they felt things brush against their heads, or against their hands. Long tentacles, or hanging growths, perhaps. Are these her children or something? Or hanging growths, perhaps. They could not tell what they were. I don't want to keep reading. I think I'm out, guys. This is where I quit Lord of the Rings. As they thrust forward, they felt things brush against their heads, or against their hands, long tentacles or hanging growths, perhaps. These are like little tarantulas. Tarantula legs. They could not tell what they were, and still the stench grew. It grew until almost it seemed to them that the smell was the only clear sense left to them. And that was for their torment. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. How many had passed in this lightless hole? Hours, days, weeks, rather? Sam left the tunnel side and shrank toward Frodo. And their hands met and clasped, and so together they still went on. Oh, love that. Sam left the tunnel side and shrank toward Frodo, and their hands met and clasped, and so they still went on. Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. They're holding hands through this. That makes me happy. It's also crazy that Sam doesn't abandon them. Sam would never do that in the book. At length, Frodo, groping along the left-hand wall, came suddenly to a void. Almost he fell sideways into the emptiness. Here was some opening in the rock, far wider than any they had yet passed, and out of it came a reek so foul and a sense of lurking malice so intense that Frodo reeled. And at that moment Sam too lurched and fell forwards. Fighting off both the sickness and the fear, Frodo gripped Sam's hand. Up, he said in a hoarse breath without voice. It all comes from here. The stench and the peril. Now for it, quick. Calling up his remaining strength and resolution, he dragged Sam to his feet and forced his own limbs to move. Sam stumbled beside him, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, at last 6 steps. Maybe they had passed the dreadful unseen opening. But whether that was so or not, suddenly it was easier to move, as if some hostile will for the moment had released them. They struggled on, still hand in hand. I love that there are so many mentions of them holding hands. At that moment, where was the other one? Man, this is cute. This is terrifying, but they're doing this together. Whew. They still have Faramir's staves. I love that. I know they have to hold hands because they can't see a thing, but still, there's some good imagery there. There's some good, symbolism. They have to do this together. This is a gross place. And it feels like this is a place of isolation. Like, this is the darkness of Shelob's lair. It's supposed to isolate you and make you feel alone. And just this power of holding someone else's hand through like a dark place like that. There's a lot of good symbolism there. Yeah, if they lost each other in that darkness, what do you do? They should have thought of this before. They should have tethered each other to the other person. Like, take some of that elvish rope and you tie one person on one end and the other person on the other end, so you don't lose each other. Man, scary place. All right. But almost at once they came to a new difficulty. The tunnel forked. Or so it seemed, and in the dark they could not tell which was the wider way, or which kept nearer to the straight. Which should they take, the left or the right? They knew nothing to guide them, yet a false choice would almost certainly be fatal. Which way has Gollum gone? Panted Sam. And why didn't he wait? Smeagol, said Frodo, trying to call. Smeagol! But his voice croaked, and the name fell dead as it left his lips. There was no answer. Not an echo. Not even a tremor of the air. He's really gone this time, I fancy, muttered Sam. I guess this is just exactly where he meant to bring us. Gollum, if I ever lay hands on you again, you'll be sorry for it. It's a good moment for Sam. Kill this little cretin. Yeah, no one expected that, but if you're going through a dark cave like that, come on. Chief weapon, fear, and hunger. He's really gone this time, I fancy. No, yeah, I just read that. Presently, groping and fumbling in the dark, they found that the opening on the left was blocked. Either it was a blind, or else some great stone had fallen in the passage. This can't be the way, Frodo whispered. Right or wrong, we must take the other. And quick, Sam panted. There's something worse than Gollum about. I can feel something looking at us. Oh. Ugh. It's the worst feeling. This is like everyone's worst fear. You know, like when you're home at night and you have to like turn the lights off and it goes all dark and you have to like sprint up the stairs or like, you know, take out the trash and you take out the trash and you run home out of the dark. This is like that, where there's something creeping up on you behind, but you sense it, but you can't see it. This is terrifying. Yeah, it's true. They wouldn't really know how to navigate through mountains or caves. Just through hobbit holes. Ugh. They had not gone more than a few yards when from behind them came a sound, startling and horrible in the heavy padded silence. A gurgling, bubbling noise, and a long venomous hiss. They wheeled round, but nothing could be seen. Still as stones they stood, staring, waiting, for they did not know what. It's a trap, said Sam. And he laid his hand on the hilt of his sword. And as he did so, the thought of darkness of the barrow whence it came. He thought of the darkness of the barrow whence it came. I wish old Tom was nearest now, he thought. They should imagine if they call Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil defeats Shelob. He thought. Then, as he stood, darkness about him made a blackness of despair and anger in his heart. It seemed to him that he saw a light in his mind, almost unbearably bright at first, as a sun ray to the eyes of one long hidden in a windowless pit. Then the light became color, green, gold, silver, white. Far off, as in a little picture drawn by elven fingers, he saw the Lady Galadriel standing on the grass in Lorien, and gifts were in her hands. And you, Ringbearer, he heard her say, remote but clear. For you I have prepared this. So Sam sees this vision rather than Frodo? Cool. Is this a vision? The bubbling hiss grew near, and there was a creaking as of some great jointed thing moving about with slow purpose in the dark. A reek came on before it. Master, master, cried Sam, and life and urgency came back into his voice. The lady's gift, the star glass. A light to you in dark places, she said it was to be. The star glass. The star glass, muttered Frodo, as one answering out of sleep, hardly comprehending. Oh yes, why, I had forgotten it. A light when all other lights go out. And now indeed light alone can help us. Okay, I'm going to say something that, I don't watch a ton of horror movies, but one thing they should not do is turn on the light. As soon as you flip the light switch, that's when you see the thing that's standing in front of you stalking you. Honestly, I would rather go through this thing without the light. That might be a wild thought. So I would be a little terrified to actually use this light, because as soon as he takes this out of his breast pocket and, like, flips it on, they're going to see Shelob just stalking them right behind them. This is legitimately terrifying. She can see what they can't. Flip the switch. Honestly, ignorance is bliss. For me, I'd rather not see. I'd rather be grumbling, fumbling around in the dark, trying to make my way out. I don't know. Flipping the switch, I mean, it's a smart thing to do. They need to do this. But I have a feeling, literally in this next paragraph, that they're going to take this light, they're going to flip it on, and they're going to see this demon spider just right in front of them. Here we go. All right. Slowly his hand went to his bosom, and slowly he held aloft the Phial of Galadriel. For a moment it glimmered, faint as a rising star struggling in heavy earthward mists. And then its power waxed, and hope grew in Frodo's mind. It began to burn. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Is there going to be a second one? There's usually two. It began to burn and kindled to a silver flame. A minute heart of dazzling light, as though Erendil had himself come down from the high sunset paths with the last Silmaril upon his brow. The darkness receded from it, until it seemed to shine in the center of a globe of airy crystal. And the hand that held it sparkled with white fire. Oh, that's a sweet description. That's cool. Frodo gazed in wonder at this marvelous gift that he had so long carried, not guessing its full worth and potency. Seldom had he remembered it on the road, until they came to the Morgul Vale, and never had he used it for fear of its revealing light. Aya Erendil, Elonium and Kalima. Is that, did they actually have that I feel like they have that when he actually uses the light. He says that in the movie, right? Okay, Pale Erendil, brightest of stars, that's what it means. That's actually so cool. Ignorance is bliss until your hot lunch. Huh. He says this in the movies. Okay, that's really cool. He cried and knew not what he had spoken. What? For it seemed that another voice spoke through his clear, untroubled by the foul air of the pit. Is Galadriel in a weird way in this place with them? Not physically. Hold the phone. In the same way, okay, so let me theorize for a quick second. Everyone hold on, let me theorize for a second. I know she's not physically with them. What is this other and knew not what he had spoken? To me, this feels like the Palantir, but with the mirror of Galadriel, and that Galadriel is able to see in this light. He pulls it out, and then Galadriel sometimes has, or somehow has, like, power, and she's able to speak this via Frodo. I'm getting a lot of no's, but just saying, from a first-time reading perspective, I'm throwing out some wild theories. Frodo felt like another voice speaking through him when he accepted the quest to destroy the ring. Yeah. It's coming out of his own memory and own sense. Okay. That would actually be sweet if it was Tom Bombadil. I'd be pumped. Interesting. Okay. But other potencies there are in Middle-earth. Powers of night. And they are old and strong. And she that walked in the darkness had heard the elves cry that cry far back in the depths and the deeps of time. And she had not heeded it. And it did not daunt her now. Even as Frodo spoke, he felt a great malice bent upon him. There's a lot of lore in those sentences. And she that walked in the darkness had heard the elves cry that cry far back in the deeps of time. And she had not heeded it. And it did not daunt her now. Even as Frodo spoke, he felt a great malice bent upon him, and a deadly regard considering him. Not far down the tunnel between them and the opening where they had reeled and stumbled, he was aware of eyes growing visible. 2 great clusters of many windowed eyes. The coming menace was unmasked at last. The radiance of the star glass was broken and thrown back from their thousand facets. But behind the glitter, a pale deadly fire began to steadily glow within. A flame kindled in some deep pit of evil thought. Monstrous and abominable eyes they were, bestial and yet filled with purpose and hideous delight, gloating over their prey, trapped beyond all hope of escape. This is horrifying. I don't like any of this. Frodo's speaking in some random language here he doesn't know. Goldberry is Shelob. Who the heck is Goldberry too, by the way? We need to have a discussion about that when I read it for the second time. We'll do a second time read. Now that needs to be a full deep dive. She's the river's daughter. What the heck does that mean? We need a fan fiction or someone to write something seeing, like, what if Tom Bombadil decided to go on this journey and he just did it, him and Goldberry? What would happen? What would have happened in Moria? How would he have faced the Balrog? How would he have faced Shelob right here? Like, he feels like Superman, like he's invincible and like not vulnerable to any of these things. But it'd be kind of fun to see how he would do it. It would be too easy, but I'd actually be really curious. He'd probably get distracted and go on like 30 different side missions. But it would kind of be fun to see. All right, let's keep reading. Frodo and Sam, horror-stricken, began slowly to back away, their own gaze held by the dreadful stare of those baleful eyes. But as they backed, so the eyes advanced. Frodo's hand wavered, and slowly the phial drooped. Then suddenly, released from the holding spell to run a little while in vain panic for the amusement of the eyes, they both turned and fled together. But even as they ran, Frodo looked back and saw with terror that at once the eyes came leaping up behind. The stench of death was like a cloud about him. "Stand! Stand!" he cried desperately. "Running is no use." Slowly the eyes crept nearer. "Galadriel!" he called. And gathering his courage, he lifted up the phial once more. The eyes halted. For a moment their regard relaxed, as if some hint of doubt troubled them. Then Frodo's heart flamed within him. And without thinking what he did, whether it was folly or despair or courage, he took the phial in his left hand, and with his right hand drew his sword. Sting flashed out, and the sharp elven blade sparkled in the silver light. But Wait. It's not... Okay, so it's just shining because the light of the phial is playing on it. Dude, you guys got to tell me that. Sometimes you need to tell me to read these chapters with all my lights off and just a little candle on the desk right here. I would have done that. That would have actually been so fun. I would have been probably pooping my pants, but is this... Yeah, Sting glows blue when orcs are around. So are orcs near? Oh, hold on. Time out right now. I have two guesses on this. One is the simple one of there are orcs just right outside this cave. On the other side, watching the entrance into Mordor. Number two is much more terrifying. That there are living orcs webbed up in Shelob's cave, about to die or about to be eaten. And that's why they're lighting up. They're like little orc lanterns. That's terrifying. Yeah, maybe both are right. That's kind of terrifying. Hold on, let me reread this. Galadriel, he called. Shelob did eat orcs. I just remember that one orc in the movie. He was great. He had the little whip and he's like, that's not how she likes to feed. Galadriel, he called, and gathering his courage, he lifted up the phial once more. The eyes halted. For a moment, like, the eyes halted is really cool. Like, in the same way that Boromir's horn was able to stop the Balrog, so Frodo calling this and lifting the phial is stopping Shelob. Who's a greater evil? To me, Shelob feels like a greater evil than a Balrog. Maybe I'm wrong about that. For a moment, their regard relaxed, as if some hint of doubt troubled them. Then Frodo's heart flamed within him, and without thinking what he did, whether it was folly or despair or courage, he took the phial in his left hand, and with his right hand drew his sword. Sting flashed out, and the sharp elven blade sparkled in the silver light. But at its edges, a blue fire flickered. Then, holding the star aloft and the bright sword advanced, Frodo, Hobbit of the Shire, walked steadily down to meet the eyes? What? What the heck? So he actually that is insane. That is legitimately insane. This is maybe the bravest moment in the entire book right here. Holy smokes. Then, holding the star aloft and the bright sword advanced, Frodo, Hobbit of the Shire, darn right Hobbit of the Shire, walked steadily down to meet the eyes. They wavered. Doubt came into them as the light approached. One by one they dimmed, and slowly they drew back. No brightness so deadly had ever afflicted them before. From sun and moon and star they had been safe underground. But now a star had descended into the very earth. Still it approached, and the eyes began to quail. One by one they all went dark. They turned away, and a great bulk beyond the light's reach heaved its huge shadow in between. They were gone. Hold the phone. That is mind-blowing. This is one of the biggest differences book to movie. In the movie, he's just chopping at the webs, running away from Shelob as fast as he can. That is insane. Wait, second bravest act in the whole story. Is the first one still to come? Because I feel like up until this point in my read, I probably think this is the bravest moment. This is such a, that's a great description of a Florida man moment. There's a gator out in there, and he just goes up and swims next to this gator. Frodo being alone in the movie changes all kind of things in the tunnels. Yeah, that's very true. The first is still to come. Okay, interesting. I mean, Sam's great too because he's like still there with him. But this moment for Frodo is insane. Yeah, the bravery of the person bearing the star makes the light brighter and improve its usefulness. That's a cool idea. That's actually really interesting. Tell me, we're probably going to learn more about the Phial in other books, right? It could be an interesting, like, speculative essay to talk about what the Phial actually does. Maybe I'll do it just as like a, maybe I'll do it just as like a baseline to show everyone what I don't know about it. And then you guys are all just going to be going, R-I-F-O, you dummy. This is crazy. That actually blows my mind that he stood up and just like, in my head, they're going down a tunnel right now. And well, all of a sudden Shelob's behind them. And then Frodo decides to double back and go straight toward her. That's actually nuts. I love it. You're reading this along in the car. That's cool. The Phial gives more. It feels like it's both. It feels like the Phial is giving Frodo courage. And then the Phial is feeding off of Frodo's own courage. Like it feels like it's going both ways to some extent. This is a cool object though. The Phial has a really big backstory. Interesting. Hope, as their hope grew, the light grew. That is such a cool section. I wish they portrayed that better in the movie. Well, they kind of do. When he speaks those words, the light gets brighter. But not enough. Let's keep reading. Master, master, cried Sam. He was close behind. His own sword drawn and ready. Yes, stars and glory, but the elves would make a song of that if they ever heard of it. And may I live to tell them and hear them sing. But don't go on, master. Don't go down to that den. Now is our only chance. Now let's get out of this hole, out of this foul hole. And so back they turned once more, first walking and then running. For as they went, the floor of the tunnel rose steeply. And with every stride, they climbed higher above the stenches of the unseen lair. And strength returned to limb and heart. But still, the hatred of the Watcher lurked behind them. Blind for a while, perhaps. But undefeated. Oh, gosh. Still bent on death. And now there came a flow of air to meet them, cold and thin. That's a terrifying paragraph. Shelob's undefeated. She's not letting her undefeated streak run out right now. Yeah, this Phial is so interesting to me. I want to know more about it. Also, everyone like the stream. Like the stream so this gets out to more Tolkien people. Blows my mind. They mention, okay, there's a character who did this. They mentioned something about the Watchers. Was it the Watchers? So you have the Watcher in the water, which is the thing in Moria, or right before Moria. But there's another thing. Doesn't a character mention something about the Watchers or something like that toward Minas Morgul? The Silent Watchers. Okay, who mentions the Silent Watchers? Are the Silent Watchers Shelob and the children? Who talks about the Silent Watchers? Why am I blanking on this? Gollum does? Okay, read and find out. All right. Toodles, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. Glad that you're here. Okay, that's the next chapter. Okay, the Silent Watchers. Still to come, something different. Okay, that's interesting that they capitalized Watcher too. Maybe there's an essay in there. But still the hatred of the Watcher lurked behind them. If you could like it multiple times. That's all right. Thanks for liking it once. I appreciate it. All right. Let's keep going. Man, hold on one second. I should mute this so I can really clear my throat. I'm going to mute for a half second so I can clear my throat. And we're back. All right, here we go. The opening. The tunnel's end. At last it was before them. Panting, yearning for a roofless place, they flung themselves forward. And then, in amazement, they staggered, tumbling back. The outlet was blocked with some barrier, but not of stone. Soft and a little yielding it seemed, and yet strong and impervious air filtered through, but not a glimmer of any light. Once more they charged, and were hurled back. Holding aloft the phial, Frodo looked, and before him he saw a grayness which the radiance of the star glass did not pierce and did not illuminate. That's terrifying. Holding aloft the phial, Frodo looked, and before him he saw a grayness which the radiance of the star glass did not pierce and did not illuminate. Is this just the wall? As if it were a shadow that being cast by no light could dissipate. Across the width and height of the tunnel, a vast web was spun, orderly as the web of some huge spider, but denser, woven and far greater, and each thread was as thick as rope. It's also interesting that before this, I mean, you're kind of piecing together that it's a spider. But before this, I don't know if we know what this is, which makes Frodo's bravery moment even more brave because he doesn't know what he's going up against to fight. I guess here is where you're kind of piecing it together because there's a bunch of webs. Huh. Interesting. Where am I? Sam laughed grimly. Cobwebs, he said. Is that all? Cobwebs? But what a spider. Have at him. Down with him. In a fury, he hewed at them with his sword, but the thread that he struck did not break. It gave a little and then sprang back like a plucked bowstring, turning the blade and tossing up both sword and arm. 3 times Sam struck with all his force, and at last one single cord of all the countless cords snapped and twisted, curling and whipping through the air. One end of it lashed Sam's hand, and he cried out in pain, starting back and drawing his hand across his mouth. It will take days to clear the road like this, he said. What's to be done? Have those eyes come back? No, not to be seen, said Frodo, but I still feel like they are looking at me, or thinking about me. Making some other plan, perhaps. If this light were lowered, or if it failed, they would quickly come again. Tripped in the end, said Sam bitterly, his anger rising again above weariness and despair. Gnats in a net. May the curse of Faramir bite that Gollum and bite him quickly. Ooh. Okay, this is interesting too, because I want to go back and revisit the what Faramir said, what the curse was going to be upon him. What's up, Wes? My dog, you should just see my dog right now is framed in my doorway just looking at me. What's up, bud? We'll go for a walk in a bit, okay? Give me like another hour to finish. He's not amused. This is not a spider, but spider-like. Okay, interesting. Yeah, this light in this chapter, yeah, that's an essay. Isolated in darkness. Light of the Phial. Huh. I'm curious what the curse that is potentially on him would be, and then if that's going to have any fruition later. Huh. That would not help us now, said Frodo. Come, let us see what Sting can do. It's an elven blade. There were webs of horror in the dark ravines of Beleriand, where it was forged. But you must be the guard and hold back the eyes. Here, take this star glass. Do not be afraid. Hold it up and watch. Then Frodo stepped up to the great gray net and hewed it with a wide sweeping stroke, drawing the bitter edges swiftly across a ladder of close-strung cords. And at once, springing away, the blue gleaming blade shore through them like a scythe through grass, and they leaped and writhed and then hung loose. A great rent was made. That's crazy. That's cool. There's a lot of Silmarillion references in this chapter. Interesting. I feel like it's going to be fun to read the Silmarillion and then come back to this, because I feel like I'll get some of these references. They're just names that go straight over my head right now. Oh, that's actually an interesting idea. Boromir couldn't cut the troll skins, but Frodo did with Sting. So this weapon is a lot cooler than the movies really portray. In the movies, it just feels like a little dagger. I don't love the design of Sting in the movies. Kind of cool, but not like the coolest. Stroke after stroke he dealt, until at last all the web within his reach was shattered, and the upper portion blew and swayed like a loose veil in the incoming wind. The trap was broken. Come, cried Frodo. On, on. Wild joy at their escape from the very mouth of despair suddenly filled all his mind. His head whirled as with a draught of potent wine. He sprang out, shouting as he came. It seemed light in that dark land to his eyes that had passed through the den of the night. The great smoke had risen and grown thinner, and the last hours of a somber day were passing. The red glare of Mordor had died away in sullen gloom. Yet it seemed to Frodo that he looked upon a morning of sudden hope. Almost he had reached the summit of the wall, only a little higher now. The cleft, Cirith Ungol, was before him, a dim notch in the black ridge, and the horns of rock darkling in the sky on either side. A short race, a sprinter's course, and he would be through. The pass, Sam, he cried, not heeding the shrillness of his voice that released from the choking airs of the tunnel rang out now high and wild. The pass! Run, run, and we'll be through. Through before anyone can stop us. Sam came up behind as fast as he could urge his legs. But glad as he was to be free, he was uneasy, and as he ran, he kept on glancing back at the dark arch of the tunnel, fearing to see eyes, or some shape beyond his imagining, spring out in pursuit. Too little did he or his master know of the craft of Shelob. She had many exits from her lair. Oh, gosh. Oh. There are a lot of forgotten Dolan. Shelob is relentless. So they made it, but I feel like they didn't make it. I feel like as soon as you feel like a character has made it, that's when everything goes crap. You know, cue the red wedding. As soon as there's a good moment, be leery of the bad moment that comes. I'm a little nervous. We still have 4 pages left, so something bad's going to happen. This is peak writing right here. This is his best. This is definitely his best horror chapter. All right, here we go. Sorry, one sec. Alrighty, jumping back in. There, age-long she had dwelt, an evil thing in spider form, even such as once of old had lived in the land of elves. Even such as once of old had lived in the land of the elves in the west that is now under the sea. Such as Beren fought in the mountains of terror in Doriath, and so came to Luthien upon the great sword amid the hemlocks in the moonlight long ago. How Shelob came there, flying from ruin, no tale tells. Hold on, Beren and Luthien have Shelob in it? We interrupt this chase scene to bring you some Silmarillion lore. That is so true. But I think I'm gonna love this, and I'm not gonna know any of this until I actually get to the Silmarillion and like read Beren and Luthien and all this kind of stuff. The mountains of terror in Doriath, and so came to Luthien, upon the great sword amid the hemlocks in the moonlight long ago. How Shelob came there, flying from ruin, no tales tell. For out of the dark years few tales have come. But still she was there. Who was there before Sauron? And before the first stone of Barad-dûr? And she served none but herself, drinking the blood of elves and men, bloated and grown fat with endless broodings on her feasts, weaving webs of shadow, for all living things were her food, and her vomit darkness. Oh my gosh. Oh, excuse me? Weaving webs of shadow, for all living things were her food, and her vomit darkness. That's one of the best descriptions I've ever heard anybody write. That is how you describe a terrifying character. Your vomit is darkness. Far and wide, her lesser broods, bastards of the miserable mates, her own offspring, that she slew, spread from glen to glen, from the Ephel-Duath to the hills, to the eastern hills, to Dol Guldur, and the fastness of Mirkwood. But none could rival her. Shelob the Great, last child of Ungoliant, to trouble the unhappy world. Okay, so Beren and Luthien, they dealt with Ungoliant, and Shelob is a child of Ungoliant. It seems like they slew Ungoliant, and then all these offspring spread off into all these different regions. And so the spiders of Mirkwood are brothers or sisters of Shelob. Yeah, don't give me any spoilers about her mom. I want to find out all about the mom myself. Gosh, this is terrifying. All right, I'm gonna avert my eyes so I don't see any spoilers. If there's any mods, I think there's a mod here. Hold on, everyone. I might make someone else a mod so they can delete spoilers. I'll do that later. I'll figure it out. You be a mod. You can be a mod. I'm like Oprah. Gosh, this is a scary chapter. If I read this in the dark, I would be peeing my pants right now. Where are we? Already years before, Gollum had beheld her. Oh my gosh, Gollum actually came. This is terrifying. Smeagol, who pried into all dark holes, and in past days he had bowed and worshipped her? In the darkness of her evil will walked through all the ways of his weariness beside him, cutting him off from light and from regret. And he promised to bring her food, but her lust was not his lust. Little she knew of or cared for towers or rings or anything devised by mind or hand, who only deserved death for all others, mind and body. And for herself, a glut of life alone, swollen till the mountains could no longer hold her up and darkness could not contain her. What the heck? This is insane. So Gollum, before he went to the Misty Mountain, or the Misty Mountains, had a period where he worshipped Shelob and was Shelob's servant. She's basically a foodie, is right. She wants to eat so much food that this mountain literally cannot hold her anymore. After he was released from Mordor. Interesting. Is there debate on when that is? This is like, yeah, this little cult community over here. Covenant. So after the ring was stolen, okay, so yeah, he's looking for the ring. So this isn't in the Misty Mountain. This has to be after Mordor. Because he wants the ring. It seems like that. It could be like in his travels in between when he lost the ring, right? And when he was trying to find Bilbo. Maybe not. Yeah, how old is Shelob? This is a great sentence. Yeah, a glut for life, alone, swollen till the mountains could no longer hold her up, and the darkness could not contain her. Oh my gosh. So Gollum worked for Shelob. So he's like going back to his old employer right here. Most female villains in Tolkien are spiders, according to Jess of the Shire. That was actually kind of crazy. Shelob is at least 6,000 years old. Help me and I'll eat you last. This is crazy. Gosh. This little lore deep dive. This is why when I read the Silmarillion, it's going to be like a page an hour because I'm going to be blown away by all these things that he talks about. And I'm going to want to, like, I feel like I'm going to read a page and then want to reread the Lord of the Rings. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, that name was just mentioned. Let me go back and read all the mentions of this name in Lord of the Rings. But that desire was yet far away. And long now had she been hungry, lurking in her den while the power of Sauron grew, and light and living things forsook his borders. And the city in the valley was dead, and no elf or man came near, only the unhappy orcs, poor food and wary, but she must eat. And however busily they delved new winding passages from the pass and from their towers, ever she found some way to snare them. But she lusted for sweeter meat, and Gollum had brought it to her. We'll see, he said often to himself when the evil mood was on him, as he walked the dangerous road from Emmenmuil to Morgul Vale. We'll see, it may be well, or it may well be, oh yes, it may well be that when she throws away the bones and the empty garments, we shall find it. We shall get it, the precious, a reward for poor Smeagol who brings nice food. And we'll save the precious as we promised. Oh yes. And when we've got it safe, then she'll know it. Oh yes. And we'll pay her back, my precious. Then we'll pay everyone back. So this is like he doesn't like his boss, and he's essentially just wants the ring so he can kill his boss and go live and eat fish. And just go have a sushi. Smeagol kind of wants to do the same thing. Smeagol is Shelob, but Smeagol likes fish and sushi, and Shelob likes fresh meat or sweet meat like elves and men. He only helped her so that she would not kill her. Yeah, Gollum's not a very loyal worshiper. It weirdly feels like she is able to consume darkness because she's able to vomit darkness. Maybe she consumes things that are dark and then she vomits up darkness. That's why her thing is her cave is so dark. Smeagol has simple taste. Just a good little sushi, and he's good. He's content. The food is also vocal. We need a Shelob or a Gollum, ASMR video. She eats light. Yeah, she eats light and she vomits out darkness. Darkness consumption. Interesting. Gurgle, gurgle. Maybe in that moment she's trying to digest light. That's why you hear the gurgles. Hello, Wes. Are you coming to here? My dog shaking his little ears. Come say hi to everyone. Come here. Here, what's in your eye? Oh, come here. There we go. Gollum never got to taste Hobbit like he wanted to in The Hobbit. She eats light and vomits darkness. Hi, bud. Everyone, there's my dog. You can just see his back right now. Wes, come here. Let me see your head. Let me see you. Come here. We'll go for a walk in a second. Relax. All right, let's keep reading. I'm going to get 2 more pages. Wes, 2 more pages, then we'll go for a walk, okay? All right. Good boy. Real spiders do salivate when they're stalking their prey. Real spiders do seem cool, but I don't love real spiders. Yes, Wes really is the real hero. Wes is the best. Wes is such a good dog. He's the best dog ever. Yeah, Gollum's thoughts are a little strange here. It's interesting how irrational he is. Like, he's doing this by a chance. Someone who loves the ring that much is willing to chance Shelob consuming the ring. What is he going to look for her in her vomit for the ring. That's, I guess, what he's trying to do. So he thought in an inner chamber of his cunning, which he still hoped to hide from her. Even when he had come to her again and had bowed low before her while his companions slept. Oh my gosh. That's what he was going to do. That is crazy. I thought in my head that he was going just to like scout out the pass because it was like a complicated way. He's literally going and sneaking and bowing down and worshiping Shelob. Holy. Even when he had come to her again and had bowed low before her while his companions slept. Oh my gosh. That's insane. Yeah, that makes his repentance even sadder. Holy. That is absolutely terrifying. So Sam was right, but he just dealt with this wrong. Like, everything here is right and wrong. It's hard to hold back that spoiler. That is actually so sad because that makes his repentance so much more interesting. Because he's going and he's literally worshiping this spider demon. And then all of a sudden he sees these two hobbits snuggling next to each other. And he wants that. Yeah, you guys were saying that's what I'm going to find out what he's going to do in the next chapter. That is mind-blowing. He had bowed low before her. That's going to be a short essay, but that'll be an essay at least. Gollum's worst moment. Bowing and worshiping Shelob. That's actually so crazy. I wonder, like, that's what I was thinking. Like, it feels like when Gollum is walking through this, he actually knows, like, he could probably see through things a little bit. Yeah, he'd been planning this for a while. Gollum first shows up, he's climbing down the cliff like a spider. That's true. That's a good connection. Yeah, it'd be an interesting thought to actually talk about what his worship was like, if it was sincere, insincere. I feel like there was some sincerity there. But it's only... No, actually, I take that back, because he's just trying to do something so he can get something that he wants. It's just all manipulation for him. But in his moments of repentance, it seems like he just seems to be like, I don't want this. I want that. I want true companionship. Yeah, it's like bargaining with the devil, yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, so extreme. He literally is coming back from having, like, you know, a little worship service of Shelob here. He's probably bowing before her and worshiping her. And then all of a sudden he comes back and then he sees these hobbits sleeping, one on the chest or one, yeah, right. One was sleeping in the lap of the other. And he's like, oh, I want to forsake all that. That's really what I want. That paragraph is still so tragic. It makes that whole moment even more tragic. Animalistic worship, yeah. It's all fear and hatred. That is so sad. Oh, I gotta leave. No worries. But thanks for joining. That's great. I cannot believe there are 110 people here. That is actually mind-blowing. I love that all of you guys want to just chill and talk about this stuff and watch me read for the first time. This is a great chapter. This is actually kind of terrifying, but this is great. Yeah, this is nuts. Also, everyone liked the stream, so more Tolkien people can watch this. Absolutely mind-blowing. I cannot believe that he was literally sitting there worshiping this spider demon. Yeah, it's actually... Okay, so it is an interesting thought. Gollum deserves pity. I feel like people are kind of split on that. At least from what I've seen, some things. Like, Yeah, he deserves pity because everyone deserves pity. But you can only pity so much and give them so many second chances before you just cut them off. Maybe not kill them. I don't know if he deserves it. Yeah, maybe that's a good way to put it. I don't know if he deserves it, but you do kind of as a reader pity him. Because he's being manipulated by everything, but he thinks he's the master manipulator in this story. He thinks the world is revolving around him, but he's being used essentially by everyone. Maybe. It's all manipulation. It's weird. Gandalf definitely pitied him, yeah. Forgiveness with repentance. He is tragic and pitiable. I still think they should have unloosed an arrow on him in the forbidden pool, but maybe just my own personal thoughts there. Okay, here we go. And as for Sauron, he knew where she lurked. Interesting. It pleased him that she should dwell there, hungry and unabated in malice. A more sure watch upon that ancient path into his land than any that his skill could have devised. And orcs, they were useful slaves, but he had them in plenty. And now and again Shelob caught them to stay her appetite. She was welcome. He could spare them. Gosh. And sometimes as a man may cast a dainty to his cat. No way. His cat he calls her, but she owns him not. Wait, is this just... Hold on. Is this Tolkien coming out here and saying that he just doesn't like cats? This is actually so good. And sometimes as a man may cast a dainty to his cat he calls her, but she owns him not. Sauron would send her prisoners that he had no better uses for. He would have them driven into her hole and report back to him of the play she made. So they both lived, delighting in their own devices, and feared no assault, no wrath, nor any end of their wickedness. Never yet had any fly escaped from Shelob's webs. And the greater now was her rage and real hunger. This is so funny. Cats are not well regarded. Didn't he write a poem about cats or something like that? Yeah, I like that. They his cat he calls her, but she owns him not. Cats really don't care. That's why I like dogs. I do like cats and dogs. Cats are kind of nice. You can kind of leave a cat for longer because they're just more self-sufficient. Dogs, better little companions, but that's so funny. This is such good writing. And it's so interesting too. H.P. Lovecraft was the opposite. He was a cat person. This is so interesting too because they're coming through Mordor in probably the least way that he expects. I'm sure that Sauron even feels like this is more well protected than even the Black Gate. Like this is a surefire protection on this. And they're coming in through this way, which is mind-blowing. He wrote an essay on the virtues of cats over dogs. Man. What did Lovecraft name one of his cats? I'm nervous to ask now. I do love cats, but I love dogs a little bit more. Not repeatable. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Got another page. About 2 pages left. This is pretty crazy. Tolkien told someone he wished to not name a cat Lord of the Rings name as it was a creature of Mordor. Shelob does not own or acknowledge Sauron as her owner. Yeah, for sure. That's actually such a good description. Like it's funny, but it also is so good because no one owns cats. You're kind of delusional if you think you own your cat. That cat is its own being, its own entity. That cat owns itself. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. But nothing of this evil which they had stirred up against them did poor Sam know, except that a fear was growing on him, a menace which he could not see. And such a weight did it become that it was a burden to him to run, and his feet seemed leaden. Dread was around him. Hold on one second. Dread was round him, and enemies before him in the pass, and his master was in a fey. A fey! Hey! There's the word. That's cool. That actually comes up. Dread was round him, and enemies before him in the pass, and his master was in a fey mood, running heedlessly to meet them. Turning his eyes away from the shadow behind at the deep gloom beneath the cliff upon his left, he looked ahead, and he saw two things that increased his dismay. He saw that the sword which Frodo still held unsheathed was glittering with blue flame, and he saw that though the sky behind was now dark, still the window in the tower was glowing red. Uh-oh. Orcs, he muttered. Are they done with Shelob? Shelob's got to come back, right? Shelob's going to come back and then stab Frodo. What? Orcs, he muttered. We'll never rush it like this. There's orcs about, and worse than orcs. Then returning quickly to his long habit of secrecy, he closed his hand about the precious phial, which he still bore. Oh, so Sam has it now, and Frodo's running ahead without it. This is dangerous. This is how he's going to get stabbed, because Frodo has Fey, and this Fey is destroying him. Oh, no. Frodo's careless attitude here is going to get him stabbed in the gut by Shelob. That's my guess. Hold on, I'm going to let my dog finish drinking. Honestly, he is like kind of drunk on freedom from this cave. You guys can all hear that? Fey is what you are, not what you have. In a Fey mood. You've been staring at your own death. Yeah, it's a great description of it. Terror will make you do wild things. Dude, that is the truth. And instantaneous freedom from that is like, yeah, Frodo's doing some dumb things right now. He's irrational. An irrational Frodo moment. Where was I? Then, orcs, he muttered. We'll never rush it like this. There's orcs about, and worse than orcs. Then, returning quickly to his long habit of secrecy, he closed his hand about the precious phial which he still bore. Red with his own living blood. Why is he bleeding? Red with his own living blood, his hand shone for a moment, and then he thrust the revealing light deep into a pocket near his breast, and drew his elven cloak about him. No, don't put this light away. Now he tried to quicken his pace. His master was gaining on him. Already he was some 20 strides ahead, flitting on like a shadow. Soon he would be lost to sight in that gray world. Oh, it's through his hand. So it's that. Whoa, that's kind of cool. So if it's feeding on their hope, then it's like this thing is That's actually crazy. It is shining so much that it's glowing through his hand. Yeah. Frodo, the hope in Frodo. I guess the Fae is really causing this to light even more. Dang. It's kind of crazy. Hardly had Sam hidden the light of the star glass when she came. No! A little way ahead and to his left he saw suddenly, issuing from a black hole of a shadow under the cliff, the most loathly shape that he ever beheld. Horrible beyond the horror of an evil dream. Most like a spider she was, but huger than the great hunting beasts, and more terrible than they because of the evil purpose in her remorseless eyes. Those same eyes that he had thought daunted and defeated. There they were, lit with a fell light again, clustering in her outthrust's head. Great horns she had, and behind her short stalk-like neck was her huge swollen body. A vast bloated bag, swaying and sagging between her legs. Its great bulk was black, blotched with livid marks. But the belly underneath was pale and luminous and gave forth a stench. Her legs were bent, with great knobbed joints, high above her back, and hairs that stuck out like steel spines. And at each leg's end there was a claw. This is no spider. This is not a spider, guys. Those same eyes that she had thought daunted and defeated, there they were, lit with a fell light again, clustering in her outthrust head. Great horns she had, and behind her short stalk-like neck was her huge swollen body, a vast bloated bag swaying and sagging between her legs. Its great bulk was black, blotched with livid marks. But the belly underneath was pale and luminous and gave forth a stench. Her legs were bent with great knobbed joints high above her back, and hairs that stuck out like steel spines. And at each leg's end there was a claw. Horned acromantula, little Harry Potter reference. Love that. What's up, Rye? Spider adjacent. I think that's the correct term. You have an illustrated copy? I want to see. Can I look it up? I would actually love to see an illustrated copy of this. Huh. Did Tolkien ever draw this? I have a picture, or I have a book of pictures by Tolkien, but I haven't made it through the entire thing because I don't want to necessarily like look at everything. Ooh, yeah, send it in the Discord if you can. Are you going to send it now? Because I would actually love to look at that. 1 second. Give me a second. Pause to open Discord. Yeah, it's like a Godzilla lizard. It really feels like that. Yeah, Hagrid would be trying to take care of this thing. He would have kept this thing in his pocket. He would have fed it everything that it wanted. Hagrid's out there stealing students so that he can steal and feed these students to him. Oh, cool illustrated image. Oh, wow, this is actually really cool. Hold on, everyone. I'm going to try to pull this over. One second. Dang, this thing is a little demon. Hold on, everyone. Watch this. Look at this. Here's Frodo running on ahead, and then we're in Sam's perspective. And here's this little horns right here. It's like yeah, Sam needs a big ol', he needs like a fire, what are those? A fire extinguisher of Raid. This is really cool. You can see the horns. It feels like you know those beetles that have horns? What are they called? Rhino beetles? Like Shelob is like a rhino mixed with a scorpion mixed with a spider. You remember that line from The Office where they're like something with the body of a porcupine and the head of a meerkat. It's like Shelob. She's like something like the legs of a scorpion and the body of a spider and the neck of a human, of a fat human, and the neck of Dolores Umbridge because it's a short fat neck. And then you have the head of a beetle. Actually terrifying stuff. That's the stuff of nightmares right there. That's cool that there's like a lot of images of Shelob too. I actually want to look at that. Yeah, a stag beetle. Imagine seeing that climb up your wall. That would be terrifying. Legitimately terrifying. Ugh, I don't even want to think about that. Hold on. All right, let's finish this chapter. Ugh. Yeah, Sauron's secretly an animal lover. Sauron is secretly like the evil version of Hagrid. Yeah, check your shoes in the morning. That would be quite the squash through that thing. As soon as she had squeezed her soft, squelching body and its folded limbs out of the upper exit from her lair, she moved with horrible speed, now running on her creaking legs. Creaking legs? She's old and she's fat. Now making a sudden bound. She was between Sam and his master. Either she did not see Sam or she avoided him for the moment, as the bearer of light, and fix all her intent upon one prey, upon Frodo, bereft of his phial, running heedless up the path, unaware yet of his peril. Swiftly he ran, but Shelob was swifter. In a few leaps she would have him. Sam gasped and gathered all his remaining breath to shout. "Look out behind," he yelled. Hold on, I just had a weird... Okay, here's a thought. Because the next chapter is called The Choices of Master Samwise. I'm not going to flip ahead and like look at any of the words in there because I don't want to see like the word Frodo. Does this section end with not knowing if Frodo is alive or dead? Or thinking that Frodo is dead and then Sam needs to take up the journey? That would be kind of crazy. Surely it wouldn't end like that. My guess is that it wouldn't. My guess is that it wouldn't. If it does, that's actually kind of a great move on the publisher's part. That is actually so interesting. Yeah, I am so tempted to keep reading. I can't, but I'm so tempted to keep reading. Middle Earth is just on a tiny planet and Shelob's just a normal size. That could be that. Honestly, I kind of dig that. It's like honestly a great idea. That is actually mind blowing. Man. Ugh. I hate spiders. Look out, master. But suddenly his cry was stifled. A long, clammy hand went over his mouth. Gollum. And another caught him by the neck, while something wrapped itself about his leg. Taken off his guard, he toppled backward into the arms of his attacker. Oh my goodness. How? Sam has to try to kill him here. This has to be where Sam has to throw him off the cliff here or something like that. This is so different. Sorry, I'm keep getting distracted. Got him, hissed Gollum in his ear. At last, my precious, we've got him. Yes, the nasty hobbit. We takes this one, she'll get the other. Oh yes, Shelob will get him, not Smeagol. He promised. He won't hurt Master at all, but he's got you, you nasty, filthy little sneak. He spat on Sam's neck. Fury at the treachery and desperation at the delay when his master was in deadly peril gave to Sam a sudden violence and strength that was far beyond anything Gollum had expected from this slow, stupid hobbit as he thought him. Come on, Sam. Not Gollum himself could have twisted more quickly or more fiercely. His hold on Sam's mouth slipped, and Sam ducked and lunged forward again, trying to tear away from the grip on his neck. His sword was still in his hand, and on his left arm, hanging by its thong, was Faramir's staff. Come on, staff! Desperately, he tried to turn and stab his enemy, but Gollum was too quick. His long right arm shot out, and he grabbed Sam's wrist. His fingers were like a vice. Slowly and relentlessly, he bent the hands down and forward, till with a cry of pain, Sam released the sword, and it fell to the ground. And all the while, Gollum's other hand was tightening on Sam's throat. Then Sam played his last trick. With all his strength, he pulled away and got his feet firmly planted. Then suddenly he drove his legs against the ground and with his whole force hurled himself backwards. Not expecting even this simple trick from Sam, Gollum fell over with Sam on top, and he received the weight of the sturdy hobbit in his stomach. A sharp hiss came out of him, and for a second his hand upon Sam's throat loosened, but his fingers still gripped the sword hand. Sam tore himself forward and away, and stood up, and then quickly he wheeled away to his right, pivoted on the wrist held by Gollum, laying hold of the staff with his left hand. Sam swung it up, and down it came with a whistling crack on Gollum's outstretched arms just below the elbow. Let's go! Okay, so this staff comes back, and then the curse that Faramir put on him, maybe we're seeing something happening here. Love that. With a squeal, Gollum let go. Then Sam waded in. Not waiting to change the staff from left to right, he dealt another savage blow. Quick as a snake, Gollum slithered aside, and the stroke aimed at his head fell across his back. The staff cracked and broke. That was enough for him. Grabbing from behind was an old game of his, and seldom had he failed in it. But this time, misled by spite, he had made the mistake of speaking and gloating before he had both hands on his victim's neck. Everything had gone wrong with his beautiful plan, since that horrible light had so unexpectedly appeared in the darkness. And now he was faced... Whoa, that's cool! Hold on. Gollum didn't know about the light. They never had to use it. I'm sure he wasn't like sneaking and listening in on the call for the gifts of Galadriel. Yeah, he called him sneak in that moment. That was actually interesting. I know the ads suck. I'm sorry. I made them as little as possible. That's crazy, actually. So it feels like because they didn't use it up until this point, Smeagol could not have guessed really what was going on. That's actually interesting. They probably could have used it in other spots, but because they like forgot about it, and you as a reader forget about it too, so Gollum can't plan for that. That's actually really interesting. Okay, another paragraph. Everything had gone wrong with his beautiful plan since that horrible light had so unexpectedly appeared in the darkness. And now he was face to face with a furious enemy, little less than his own size. This fight was not for him. Sam swept up his sword from the ground and raised it. Gollum squealed, and springing aside onto all fours, he jumped away in one big bound like a frog before Sam could reach him. He was off, running with amazing speed back toward the tunnel. What a coward. I was literally going to say, in my head, I was like, Sam needs to go after him. And then it says in the next paragraph, sword in hand, Sam went after him. For the moment, he had forgotten everything else but the red fury in his brain and the desire to kill Gollum. But before he could overtake him, Gollum was gone. Then, as the dark hole stood before him and the stench came out to him, like a clap of thunder, the thought of Frodo and the monster smote upon Sam's mind. He spun round and rushed wildly up the path, calling and calling his master's name. He was too late. So far, Gollum's plot had succeeded. Dang, yeah, we're talking about a cliffhanger right there. Oh my gosh. Wow. This is crazy how different this is. Fleagle. Ryan, I don't know how you've come up with all these puns. It's impressive. Gollum picks up on the trail in the river, but Lothlorien was guarded by the elves, so he couldn't have seen them. I know nothing in me wants to stop at this point, but I have to. I think it's more. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep going. I don't know. I'm gonna stop. I'll read the last chapter probably like middle of this week. I like going a chapter at a time. It makes it fun. Dang. What a chapter. Absolutely terrifying. Shelob is different from what I expected. Sam never gets cast away by Frodo. Interesting decision in the movies. Really interesting decision. Really, really interesting decision. Shattermelon, wow, thank you for the 20. Dude, thank you so much. Or dudette. Really appreciate that. That means a lot. Spider stream. This was a great spider stream too. Yeah, Gollum doesn't get thrown off the cliff. He goes back and he slinks and he hides. He's ready to worship Smeagol again. Tolkien Rants. I feel like there's a video on that. Everyone go subscribe to Tolkien Rants because her channel is actually phenomenal. I watched one video on Faramir and it was a great video. So go subscribe. Tolkien Rants. Next chapter is your favorite. The choices of Master Samwise. The choices of Master Samwise. I want to read it, but I'm not. I can't. I gotta wait. This is gonna be my treat for halfway through the week. These are my little desserts right here. Oh, Zeupater. Thanks for the $4.99. I really appreciate it. Guys, honestly, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm not going to read it. Wait, the next chapter is the best chapter in Lord of the Rings? Wow, guys, for real, thank you. Jose Maria Martinez de Artola Blanc. That is the coolest name that I've ever heard in my entire life. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. That's what it sounds like. The next chapters are really good. Make some cry. I might be crying. I have another video coming out later today I kept crying at this one passage in Lord of the Rings, and I had to record a video over 40 times, and I finally made it through it without crying. I was about to, but it is kind of scary if he goes in alone. But if you have the level of horror that Tolkien is writing with, I don't necessarily think you need him to go in alone. I guess it does make things a little scarier if he's just on his own there, but I don't know. It still felt pretty scary to me because there was a great spider demon. I don't know. Felt pretty terrifying. One thing that I think I remember reading a comment on one of the videos that someone said something like the Choices of Master Samwise is a good chapter, but they say it's like 3 or 4 pages too long. They said it should have been shorter. It just drags on a little bit. Is that true or not? I mean, I'm going to form my own opinions when I get there, but we'll see. Guys, thank you for these gifts. My mind is blown. Dylan, thank you. No, wait, dude, you're reading for the first time? That actually makes me so happy. I love that you found this channel and that you're reading this for the first time, waiting for me to start Return of the King. That is like the greatest honor. I'm so okay. We're gonna start reading soon. So this is my schedule. I'll do this before we end the stream. Guys, thank you so much for these super chats. I know. Do these before the goal expires. I know. But it's all right. We're gonna eventually do Lord of the Rings trivia night. That's gonna happen soon. But I gotta plan that. It's perfect length, perfect chapter. I love that. Wait. When did you found your channel midway through the Two Towers and realized you were posting a video like a few hours before you viewed it? Interesting. That's so cool. I love that you're reading for the first time along with me. That makes me happy. Choices of Master Samwise is so good. Yeah, Tolkien is all over the place. Some short chapters, some really long chapters. He doesn't really care that much about pacing. I think he just assumes that we're going to enjoy it, which we are. It's so good. Okay, so my schedule is this week I am going to work crazy hard to get your friend read. I get so distracted. Let me finish this. I'm going to read, I'm going to write a bunch of essays. There's going to be essentially all the essays that come out in the next 2 weeks. I have to finish all this week because I'm going to be away the week after next. So it's going to be like a week break. There's still be videos that go on, and I'm going to bring I'm not going to bring this computer, obviously. I'm going to bring my laptop and maybe like I might bring the mic and like a webcam or something like that so I can potentially not stream, but like do, I don't know, like a members chat or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure something out, but I might do something. But I'm going to be gone the week of August 17th or something. August 17th or 18th. So I'm going to be gone that week. But videos will still come out. And then when I get back, literally probably as soon as I get back, I'm going to go pick up my dog. And then I'm literally going to sit here and do a live read of the next chapter or the first chapter of Return of the King. Because I cannot wait. I'm going to be gone until the 22nd. So I'm gonna read the next chapter, but I'm gonna read it not now. I'm gonna read it, I'm guessing Wednesday. I think Wednesday. Actually, yeah, probably Wednesday. I think that I have like 3 or 4 essays in this chapter that I want to write. It might be short, might be long. We'll see. Man, I know, guys. I want to read the next chapter will be read Tuesday or Wednesday. It is guaranteed one of those days. I promise. I love that your friend read it in 2 days too. Like, if I wasn't pacing myself like this, I think I would have finished this within like a weekend because it's so good. It's a Wednesday. I know we should. Oh, maybe that's when we'll read it Wednesday because we can call it Wednesday. Wednesday. Do I think Tolkien's depictions of men are the epitome of masculine, healthy examples for men today? Yes. Next question. I think that's an easy one. And I don't think like the internet is obsessed with also, if you got to go, feel free to go. Thanks for joining and watching, guys. This is so fun. I cannot believe we had 100 people just chilling and watching me read Lord of the Rings. There's an internet fad of everyone talking about how, Aragorn is the perfect example of masculinity. And they really just base it on movie Aragorn. But I think not every male character, obviously, but the men in this are just incredible. Like every member of the Fellowship is manly and masculine in a different way, and they all complement each other, and they're all in this little fellowship and community with each other. They're all so different, but they're all so manly and so like incredible. Tuesday, meaning today. Yeah, Faramir is the epitome of masculinity. I think Sam is actually the epitome for me, like someone who's a little bit more like moody and like sensitive and just loyal. Like Sam, I should make a video of sorting all of them into their Hogwarts houses, because I think Sam would be a Hufflepuff easily. He'd be the captain of Hufflepuff Quidditch team. He is a Hufflepuff, and I'm Hufflepuff, and that's the best house. We all know that's the best house. I am such a Hufflepuff. The epitome of brain rot. The epitome of Gandalf's bane. That's the epitome of being a pain in the butt to Gandalf. What a Slytherin. Hot take: movie Aragorn is greater than book Aragorn, but book Sam is greater than movie Sam. That is actually kind of a hot take. That's an interesting take. Really interesting take. I don't know. I kind of like movie Sam. I almost think movie Sam is too grand of a character. Like he's too perfect. Book Sam has more flaws. I like it. It's a solid take. You can make some videos about that. Movie Sam is too serious. Book Sam is actually funny. Yeah, agreed. Fully agreed on that one. Movie Sam is like, he has one pace. Book Sam is grumpy. He cries all the time. I still think one of my favorite moments is when he had to give up Bill the pony, and he just sits and weeps. That was such a sad section. Yeah, books are definitely funnier than the movies. I fully agree with that. Aragorn is too cliche to be interesting. Without Vigo, it would have failed miserably. Maybe. Vigo just was a perfect pick for that. Vigo like is Aragorn. Yeah, I definitely imagine Vigo when I'm reading the book too. I kind of imagine something different. In Ted Naismith's illustrated ones, he has someone who has like a bowl cut. I gotta find this image. Ted Naismith doesn't have character consistency, which kind of drives me crazy. But his illustrations are just so beautiful that I don't necessarily care. This is kind of what I picture Aragorn in my head now. Here, I'll show you guys this. This. Like, not really a bowl cut, but like almost like a little bit of a mullet. He's got a middle part. He definitely has a middle part. That's kind of what I picture as Aragorn in my head, which it is in Ted Naismith's. And then there was another image that he had that was pretty good too, of like Boromir and all their height and stuff like that. It was a good image. He does kind of look like Harrison Ford there, actually. Harrison Ford is an attractive dude. Anybody watching Shrinking? Harrison Ford's in that. He's pretty good. Here's another one. Here's Aragorn in the picture where they're leaving the Fellowship. This is Aragorn. There's Boromir, Legolas in the back, Sam, Frodo, Merry, Pippin, Gimli. It makes him look younger. I kind of like that one. He looks foul. Aragorn and all of his clean shaven. They don't grow facial hair? Oh, no way. Interesting. So they don't have facial hair because they're elves? They're half elves? Ooh, John Hurt doing the voice for Aragorn actually would be great. That would actually be kind of sweet. Yeah, I would love to see more illustrations. I'm like, I don't want to look up too much stuff. It's a little less spoilery than like Brandon Sanderson's stuff, but Sebastian Stan as Faramir would be kind of cool. Honestly, I still love, who's the actor that did Faramir? I always forget his name, but he was still a great Faramir. Yeah, David Wenham, that's his name. I actually think he did great as Faramir. I think that was one of the more compelling roles in the entire movie. And he's very attractive. He looks so good. Someone posted it in our Discord a few days ago, a picture of him, and he's like 58, and he looks so good as a 58-year-old. He's a very, very handsome dude. Yeah, Wenham was great. All the actors were great. The guy who played Denethor, even though he might be totally different from book to movie, which I don't know yet, he's one of the greatest. He was one of the greatest actors in the entire series. The guy who played Grima was so good. Like I still think there's a ton of differences from book to movie. I don't know if I've ever seen a more perfectly cast movie than Lord of the Rings in my entire life. Like, I think Elijah Wood was a perfect fit for Frodo, but some of it fell to the writing. Some of it, like, the writing for what lines they gave Frodo weren't great. And just like his courage, but I still think he's a perfectly cast role. I think Sam was perfectly cast. I think Merry and Pippin were still perfectly cast. Like, I think the whole movie is just a perfectly cast movie. I don't know. Elrond was terribly cast. I disagree with that because I think, what's his name? I always forget his name. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think he's one of the greatest actors of our generation, of our life. Sean Bean being cast. Yeah, Hugo Weaving. Yeah, Hugo Weaving is so good. Hugo Weaving didn't fit Elrond. I guess I don't know Elrond enough to know that fact for sure. His description in The Hobbit. Movie Aragorn is definitely eye candy. I still want, all the movie casting for Harry Potter is already done, but I still want Hugo Weaving to play Voldemort. I think he would be so good as Voldemort. Because Voldemort in the books is so different from his movie depiction. He's a lot less, like, jokey. Hugo Weaving is such a good bad guy. Imagine Mr. Anderson, but Voldemort. Or what's his name? Not Mr. Anderson. He calls him Mr. Anderson. Ooh, don't think Liv Tyler was a good casting choice. I had the biggest crush on Liv Tyler when I was in high school, so I disagree with that. Elves would have used lip filler. Okay, you got me on that point, to be honest. Would they have used lip gloss? That's the real question. Hugo Weaving looks too old in the movie. Elrond is ageless, neither young nor old. So what's he supposed to look like then? How do you cast that? I don't know if there's anybody on Earth that looks neither young nor old. Yeah, Sean Bean, poor Sean Bean. He's casting all these roles and you just know instantly he's going to die. Although there was the one great line, anybody see The Martian? And side note, has anybody seen the trailer for Project Hail Mary, which looks great? I thought that looked great. But I loved in that section. I now understand the jokes in that movie in The Martian when they talk about it. And they're like, who is it? Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber. What's his name? I always forget these actors' names. He says, I'm going to be called Glorfindel because it's Project... what is the project called again? Project... I don't know. Forgot. Miranda Otto was so good. Project Hail Mary is better than the book. The book wasn't that good? Boromir talking about Elrond. I thought Miranda Otto was good. Miranda Otto is one of my favorites. Initially, I'll say this too. Initially, I didn't think... I'm having a mind blank right now on actors and actresses and names. Who played Galadriel? She's like one of the greatest actors of all time. Why can't I think of her name? Cate Blanchett. Thank you. Gosh, I'm losing it. Initially, when I first watched it, I didn't think she was that good. But now I rewatch it, I think she's incredible. I'm so attracted to Kate Blanchett, but she's not attracted to me because she's gay. So there goes that. But I think she is incredible as Galadriel. I think she has like the qualities of Galadriel. I think she's phenomenal as Galadriel. Oh, that's right. She was in Squid Game. I haven't watched any of Squid Game. It was too like eerie and creepy for me. Saruman was well cast. She hit it properly. I think everyone is really well cast. I don't know if there was anybody who wasn't. Farmer Maggot wasn't well cast because he wasn't in it. You just saw his scythe. Billy Boyd as Pippin. Oh, the Billy Boyd singing section is still my favorite movie moment in the entire series. So good. Yeah, John Rhys Davis would have been perfect if they actually gave him the correct line. That's why I think some of it is more of writing issues than it is casting decisions. Oh, I've seen this image before. He looks old in that one, though. Actually, kind of looks young. He kind of looks like Jesus. Like images of Jesus. Hold on, let me pull this up, everyone. You can chime in on this. Look at this. That's like an image of Jesus Christ right there. That's actually kind of funny. All right, guys. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go take Wes for a walk. This was so fun. I love doing this. This is like the highlight of my life. Maybe that sounds sad, but it is. Odin-y. Yeah, kind of looks Odin-y. Yeah, he wouldn't have the beard, right? Elrond doesn't have a beard. So, not good image. James McAvoy as Frodo. That would have been kind of good. Maybe a few years before. I could see that, actually. He played Mr. Tumnus. He was a decent Mr. Tumnus. Cut the beard you can't physically grow. All right, everyone. I'm jumping off. Have a great Sunday, or I don't think it's Monday by anybody, but maybe it is on Australia, Monday night. I'm glad that they're the highlight of your week. They're the highlight of my week. They're the best. I love doing these. That's all I got. Have a great week, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. This is still my favorite thing ever. Later, guys.